Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you are following along on the pits rebuild, then this video is for you. You can see that I'm not in the hangar today. I am in my candle making factory, otherwise known as a spare bedroom. And as you can see, I have the inventory on the shelves behind me here. But I use this room to make the candles and package them and ship them and do all that kind of stuff. If you're not familiar with the Allied Candle Company, it's a business I started about a year ago, and I make candles with a military theme. World War II, Vietnam, and in current military. I also have a line of candles in these boxes that are all airplane related, and you can check all those out on alliedcandle.com. I always appreciate the support, and when you guys do buy a candle, I give 10% of that sale to veterans organizations. Now, in front of me on the table, I have 5 pits parts covered. I have 2 horizontal stabilizers, 2 elevators, and a rudder. These are covered in the Stewart Systems, which I have some materials in front of me that I'll explain. And in the previous video, I was debating on what system to go with to cover this. And it's funny because a lot of guys on the comment section recommended the Stewart system, and I had always ruled that out right away. I didn't even consider it because I have never, ever once in my life heard anything good about the Stewart Systems paint. Contrary to that, I've heard so many good things about the covering system itself. But apparently, I don't know, unless you're a professional painter, using that waterborne paint, it's just really tough to get a good finish with it. And like I said, I've never heard anything good about it, so I kind of ruled out the Stewart Systems. Now, I did go with the Stewart system, and that is because I was talking to a buddy of mine before I started covering this, and he's built numerous airplanes, but he built this really cool night twister. He got the plans for it and scratch built it himself, and he covered it in the Stewart Systems, but he used aerothane paint from polyfiber. Now, the first thing some of you guys are thinking is it's not good to mix systems, and generally that's true because they might not chemically bond to each other, and you can have issues with that. However, when he told me he did that, he had no issues with it, and 2 other people I know built their airplanes or covered them with Stewart Systems and used different paint, and they had no issues. So I called Stewart Systems and I talked to their tech support, and I asked them about it. And I said, you know, I'd like to cover it with the Stewart Systems, but I don't want to use your waterborne paint. And they said, no problem. They said a lot of people do not use the waterborne paint. They use aerothane or superflight paint, and I think they said any kind of urethane paint would work. So with that, I said, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to use the Stewart Systems because it's simple to use. It doesn't smell. It's easy to clean up because it's just thinned out with water. And here I'm doing it in my house, and it has virtually no smell at all. Now that I have the products, let me walk you through what we have here. We have their glue, and this is the water-based glue. Then we have what's called EcoFill. This is a gray kind of fabric filler and primer, I think. I know I need it, but I don't know exactly what it does just yet. I did get some more pinked tape, and if you're not familiar with the covering of airplanes, this is basically just simple fabric on here. There's a layer on the top, layer on the bottom, but it's not finished at all because you'll see in here there's 3 ribs, and they have what's called rib stitching or rib lacing, and that's actually this right here. It's just a cord, and what you do is you wrap it around all of these ribs, and that is to keep the fabric from ballooning up in flight. So everything here has to get rib stitched. And then there's tapes that go over that, and there's tapes that go around the perimeter. So even though these are all covered, it's only a small part of actually finishing these and getting them ready for paint. Some of the other things you're going to need are these blue paper towels. You're going to need just some cheap cups to pour your glue into. You'll need some anti-chafing tape, and I'll explain what all this is for in just a minute. You'll just need some brushes. You'll need some good pairs of scissors. They don't have to be expensive. I think these were $10 or $12 at Michael's, but get a new pair of scissors that are nice and sharp. You'll need a big fat pencil. I got this at Walmart. you will need one of these hobby irons, which I bought at a hobby store. You can get them online too. And you also need, I have over here, if you can see them, I have two other irons. One of these is calibrated at 250 degrees, the other's at 350. And you can calibrate it however you want. I have a little thermometer that I use to do that. So these are pretty much all the materials that you'll need to cover. And my purpose for this video is not to teach you how to cover, but I will kind of quickly take you through how one of these is covered. Well, the first thing you do is you put on the anti-chafing tape. And this usually goes over welds or any sharp areas that might fray or cut into the fabric. So this is really just to protect the fabric over the metal parts. After that's done, I spread on the glue, and I'm just showing it on the leading edge here, but it actually goes all around the perimeter. Once that glue is dry, you can lay it on your fabric, and right here I'm just slicing slots where the hinges are. And I fold it around and stick it to the metal. Now this glue is dry, so when I tack that fabric up, it's not permanent. It's just kind of holding it in place for now. And then I'll take an iron, and I'm just going to lightly iron the leading edge here. And what that does, it kind of just locks that fabric in place because we're going to be moving it and cutting it, and I don't want it to move. So using the iron here, what it's doing is ironing about 1/8 of an inch line on the whole leading edge. Again, just to kind of lock the fabric in place. Now what I'm doing is using a pencil and drawing a nice straight line where I want to cut the fabric. And I'm using my other fingers as a guide. So you can see I have a nice straight line here, but you don't really need to use rulers or anything. Once I cut that fabric, now I'm wrapping it around and I'm using my iron again to kind of lock it in place. We definitely don't want it moving right now because it's cut at a certain place to fit the frame. Now comes the fun part. Once you have it in place, you can use the glue. My camera wasn't positioned perfectly here, but you're just spreading on the glue and you're working it into the fabric. And this is kind of reactivating the glue under the fabric. And then what you do is you take that blue paper towel and you just wipe off the excess glue. And that also helps push the glue into the weave of the fabric down to the glue below to help activate it. So the fabric's kind of getting glued from the bottom and the top. I go about maybe 10, 12 inches and then I wipe it off. You want to wipe it off obviously before it dries. Once it's all done all around the perimeter, you can flip your part over and you'll see you have some pretty loose fabric on there. Now this is probably the most fun part. You'll take your iron at 250 degrees and you'll shrink it in place. And you can just see how nice that tightens up and makes it look really good. This is probably the most fun part. Well, that is pretty much all you do. When you're done, you'll flip it over and you'll pretty much do the same thing for the top because obviously you have a piece of fabric on the bottom and a piece of fabric on the top. Now pieces like this are a lot more complex because there's other cutouts you have to work around. So sometimes you get something pretty easy like this where there's really nothing. And then some of the other pieces have, you know, like here's the rudder where it has the control horn you have to figure out how to go around. So, but that's it. Like I said, this is just the basic fabric. Next comes all of the rib stitching and then all of the tapes around the perimeter and stuff like that. After that, then the whole fabric gets sealed and it's ready to paint. So once I get all of these pieces done, I will move on to the fuselage. It's still pretty cold in my hangar yet, so I'll wait till it warms up a little bit. Once the fuselage is done, All of these parts will be ready for paint, and I still have the paint booth set up in the garage, so I'll be able to get this painted and start getting it assembled. So that's all I have for you on this video, guys. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. Hope you enjoy these videos, and stay tuned for the next one. Maybe the next one will be getting these all painted. You'll see what paint scheme I'm going with.